Hello friends, my name is Bintou and welcome back to my channel. So we've got another Kindle video, and I love these videos because I love talking about my Kindle. I think it's awesome. And today's video was actually a request from a subscriber, and I'm going to be talking about my favorite Kindle settings. I had never thought to do this video, but I thought it was a pretty neat idea. So I'm going to go through and talk about some of the settings that I have on my Kindle while I am reading. And yeah, maybe you can compare these to your settings. Let me know what you prefer to use on your device. I think this is just really satisfying to all of the nosy people. And I'm not being judgmental. I'm one of those people that likes to see how other people do things on their own devices. And with that said, let's get into the video. So right off the bat, I don't have advertisements on my device. Yes, I paid the extra $20 to get the device without ads. And I know some people actually like the ads because it gives them recommendations on what to read next. I, at this point, have a mile-long TBR, and just watching one video on BookTube, I can get a bunch of recommendations. So I don't really need the ads on here adding to that burden. That being said, it's annoying that Amazon makes you pay an extra, I think it's like $20 to get the ads removed. Especially for a device that's already this expensive, I think that it should already come without ads. You're already paying for the device. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I know that a lot of people have said that you can order the regular one, and if you call up Amazon and you ask really nicely, they'll probably remove the ads for you for free. I had that experience with my first Kindle device. This time around, I decided to pay right off the bat to have no ads on this thing. And I have no regrets. I stand by the no ads. I like this clean home screen that I have whenever I pick up the device. Then, as soon as I wake up my device, the next setting that I like to keep is grid view. I don't know if anyone actually uses list view. If you do, you have to let me know in the comment section because I haven't come across anyone who uses list view. So I would be curious to know if there's anyone that actually does use it, and what are your reasons? Why do you use list view instead of grid view? I know I personally prefer grid view because you can see all of the beautiful covers of all of the books that you have. I mean, the downside of Kindle versus having physical books is simply the fact that you don't get to appreciate the covers. And obviously on this is still not as cool as having the real thing, but this is as close as you can get to it on this device. So definitely grid view. I like that it has in the corner the percentage that I have gotten through the book, and I like the banners that say read once I have actually finished the book. It's a nice little marker to let me know that I have actually finished the book. As far as sort options go, I keep mine as sort by recent. I know that you can also choose to sort by author or to sort by title. I prefer to just have the books that I recently picked up available to me right away. And then sometimes I'll go through and just start opening up all the books that I'm hoping to read next so that they're all on that first page. So that's why I like sort by recent. The next setting is the page turn buttons. So I actually kept my page turn buttons with the default. So the top button moves the page forward and then the bottom button moves the page back. Those are, again, the default settings for with the Kindle device right from the factory, and I decided to keep them that way. I'm right-handed, so I hold my device in my right hand and I can use my right thumb to advance pages. I know some people do prefer to switch the orders, and I can see why. I think it actually might be easier to press the bottom button holding it this way than the top, and I'm more likely to advance than go backward. Maybe I've been doing this wrong. Maybe I should consider that. All right, so now jumping into the settings menu, some of the things that I like to keep here. I actually turn auto brightness off. I used to have it on, but then I felt like I didn't like the way sometimes when I'm sitting underneath a lamp, the way that the device kept drastically changing the brightness. I also find that I think auto brightness will drain the battery a little bit more when it has to do all of those jumps. So I just keep auto brightness off and I set the brightness level myself depending on the place I am reading. And when it comes to the light, I usually keep the warm light turned pretty high. So you'll see here that I have it in the 20s. And usually it's in the high teens to 20s. I really like the warm light, and so I like to keep that pretty high even when my regular brightness is not that high, whether it's because there's plenty of light and I don't need extra brightness. Yeah, I think the warm light was a really cool addition to this device. And lastly here, I do not keep a schedule for the warm light. It's funny, there are things that I keep on my cell phone, for example. So I have a schedule for night mode on my iPhone, but I don't like having the schedule on this particular device. I prefer to control the light myself. And I don't find that I need to make changes to my settings all that often anyway. So this just helps conserve battery because I don't have the device making these decisions unnecessarily when I don't really need it to do this stuff. Airplane mode. I keep airplane mode on always. The only time airplane mode comes off is when I am downloading books from my library or from Amazon. There's basically no reason, at least I don't think, to keep airplane mode on all the time. It's just going to drain your battery that much faster. And dark mode on my device is always off. So dark mode just inverts it so that the background is black and then the text is white. I personally find that I prefer reading in just the regular light mode over the dark mode. This is entirely personal preference, but I'm curious to know if anyone prefers dark mode over light mode. And if you do, what is your reason for preferring dark mode over light mode? For me, it just feels unnatural because that's not how books are. And so I feel like reading in dark mode makes me feel like I'm reading on a device more so than I usually feel when I'm reading on the Kindle. But yeah, like I said, it's entirely a personal preference thing. So now let's actually jump into a book and look at the settings that are available there. All right, so looking at the settings that are available while I am reading the book, first let's look at the font. I actually stick to the Bookerly font. I think this is Amazon's like proprietary font, and I just like it. I admit I don't mess around with the fonts all that much on this device. I think I set it to the Bookerly and just kept it there forever. And I don't see myself changing it. I find that it's a very nice font. I have never actually turned on the bold feature as well, so I generally keep reading without any bolded words on this device. And I keep my font at a good size 6. I guess that's a pretty medium size. It's a good enough size that I've got a good number of words on the page before having to advance. And I don't need much bigger font than that. I mean, I don't have great eyesight, but I wear glasses all the time anyway, and that corrects my vision to 20/20. So yeah, it's good enough for me. And then for reading progress, I really like to see the time left in chapter. I think you can change it to time left in book as well, but for me personally, I like the time left in chapter feature because that kind of helps me decide whether I should go and read the next chapter or finally put the book down and go to sleep. I find that this timing feature is also pretty accurate, and it's a really nice thing to have that you don't really use in physical books, although you can kind of just skip ahead and see how close you are to the end of the chapter. I do like the measurement in time though. I keep the clock on while I'm reading. I just like to be able to tell what time it is. I try to keep my phone away while I'm actually reading. Usually I have like the audiobook going on my cell phone, but I'm trying to avoid, reasons to pick it up. That's the whole point for me for this device, is to just be reading while I'm reading. The other thing I really like to keep on is the popular highlight. I feel like it does make me more biased into highlighting those popular highlights, but also I just like seeing what other people have highlighted in the book. And usually I agree with the popular highlights, so I think that's pretty neat. It also reminds me to actually highlight more, particularly in fiction where I don't really highlight all that much while I'm reading. I'm really glad this feature exists, and I think it's really neat. And that's kind of one of the things that you don't get in actual physical books. Whether it's a plus or minus, I guess that is up to you as a person. Word-wise is one of those things that I don't actually use all that much. I think I have a pretty solid vocabulary, so it's rare that I actually use word-wise. I do like the ability to, hold a word and get the definition pulled up whenever you come across a word that you don't need. But I feel like word-wise would be really useful for anyone who who is reading in a language that isn't their primary language, which would probably be English, because I don't know if they do this in other languages, but I imagine if English is your second language, this would be very, very useful. So I think it's neat that they have this on here. I have it on, but again, I never really use it. I should actually just turn it off. All right, and lastly, let's get deeper into all settings, some of the things that I haven't yet touched on. By this point, I've actually talked about a lot of the settings in the all settings menu in other parts, just because you can access all of these settings from various different parts of the device. But firstly, under reading options, I personally keep page refresh off. So what page refresh does is that it kind of refreshes the page and it gets rid of the ghosting that you might see as you are moving along. Personally, I don't find it to be an issue while I'm reading. And if you keep page refresh on, it's just gonna drain the battery faster. So it doesn't bother me, I keep it off just to conserve battery. And I think that's about it. I've talked about all of the other settings that are in these menus in other parts of the video. Obviously, I keep mine, language is English, United States. I live in the United States and I speak English. There aren't any parental controls on my device. I'm an adult, I bought it myself. So yeah, those are all of my favorite ways or my favorite settings to keep on my device in general, and also while I'm reading books on this thing. So this is the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope some of you guys will leave comments in the comment section on some of your settings, particularly where we defer. I'd love to read about why you have certain settings the way that you do versus why I have them the way that I do. That would be a pretty neat conversation. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.